Welcome to Views with Hughes, Gender Free News. This is Jerome Hughes. Now, let's go ahead and get right into it. So now there's a lot of talk about, the ongoing disaster that has become Marvel Cinematic Universe, or as some of us like to call it, the woke cinematic universe, or the MCU, with Agatha All Along. Now, over the past several years, a few rare exceptions, Marvel's felt like an absolute train wreck, and we've seen like a massive, streaming failures, box office flops left at the right, with the exception of Spider-Man No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine. And now once it's unstoppable jogging dominated, the whole movie world, leading up to Agatha All Along. And you know why? Because Marvel decided to go ahead and go all in on identity politics and woke agendas instead of just focusing on making good movies that entertain people. And one of the clearest examples of this is Agatha All Along. All along, a show that perfectly encapsulates everything wrong with Marvel's current approach and highlights how far they've, strayed from what made them great in the first place. Now, remember, just a few years ago when Kevin Feige, the head of the MCU, laid out the grand vision for, phases 4, 5, and 6. Well, back then, he was so confident about doubling down on diversity representation and whatever buzzword they could come up with to go ahead and just make up some headlines in Hollywood. And they promised a new era for Marvel, for that one that could just reflect the so-called real world by pushing their DEI agenda at every turn. But guess what? All those grand plans didn't even turn out too well, did they? But instead, Marvel has been plagued by massive losses and disappointing projects, including the upcoming Agatha All Along. Now they're desperately trying to go ahead and do a course correct, but as long as the shows like Agatha All Along keep coming out, it's clear that they still haven't learned their lesson. And that's no surprise at all. And we're hearing reports that Marvel is scrambling to, basically get back to basics, okay? Bringing back the Russo brothers, trying to get Robert Downey Jr. back into the fold as a different character, and pivoting to what actually made them successful in the first place: good storytelling and beloved characters. But no matter how much talk that they about change that they have, projects like Agatha All Along is proof that, they're still knee deep in their failed DEI experiment. Now, Marvel went on so far into the woke rabbit hole with shows like Agatha All Along that they just lost sight with what made the movies fun and enjoyable for audiences worldwide. But let's be real, it's not going to be easy for them to go ahead and just turn the ship around overnight, especially with Agatha All Along still in the lineup. Now, one of the perfect examples of Marvel's ongoing identity politics obsession is the upcoming show Agatha All Along. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know much about Agatha, but I don't remember anybody asking for a show about Agatha Harkness. But here we are, getting an Agatha All Along, a show centered on the side of character from WandaVision that's more focused on pushing identity politics, according to some cast members, than telling a good story. Now, the reviews are already coming in, and the critics are predictably praising Agatha All Along as bewitching, deliciously devious, and crazy in all the right ways. But here's the thing: what they're really excited about is not the storytelling or the characters. Nope. The big headline here is that Agatha All Along is being halted as Marvel's gayest project to date, and that's what they think people will get people to watch. It's like they didn't even watch the Acolyte, and that's right. That's it seems like Marvel tries to put something out something new these days. The selling point isn't the story or the action, but how much it checks the boxes of wokeness. And Agatha All Along is being praised for being the gayest Marvel project ever. And this is exactly what we've come to expect from the studio just now. And just look at some of the statements made by people involved in Agatha All Along. One of the actors, Joe Locke, went out of his way to mock and insult Marvel fans while boasting about how proud he is of Agatha All Along being the gayest thing that Marvel's ever done. He's thrilled about it, and the critics are eating it up because, well, in today's entertainment industry, that's all that seems to matter, unfortunately. But during the premiere, Locke got asked about Agatha All Along being described as Marvel's gayest project, and of course he agreed. He couldn't stop talking about how many, layers Agatha All Along has, and how definitely gay Agatha All Along is. And it's become a badge of honor at this point to these people to go ahead and make everything about identity politics, and honestly gotten out of hand. And we're like people watching Agatha All Along to be lectured, We want entertainment, plain and simple, but instead Marvel keeps, serving up these woke storylines in Agatha All Along that nobody asked for, doubling down on the identity politics because they think that's what the world wants to see. They shouldn't have thought about this while they were planning it and everything, but Locke isn't the only one who pushing this agenda in Agatha All Along. You got Sashir Zamata, another actress from, Agatha All Along, was out there on the red carpet talking about how witches are inherently queer because, they're outcasts. I mean, seriously, this is where we are now, people. The queerness of the characters in Agatha All Along is being used as a defining trait, as if it's somehow revolutionary or groundbreaking. But in reality, all it's doing is just alienating the core audience who just want to watch a good superhero. Well, I can't even call this a superhero show. It's not even a superhero show. Agatha, I don't even think she's a superhero, is she? And well, they just want to. I don't even know if they even have a core audiences at this point for Agatha All Along. But I know this: Agatha All Along is just another example of Marvel completely missing the mark. And you know what? They're not doing themselves any favors by continuing down this particular woke path. Now, it's not just Marvel people. This whole narrative reminds me of what happens with the Acolyte, over at Lucasfilm, and they were pushing the same woke agenda. They were boasting about, how it was the gayest Star Wars ever. And guess what? That didn't turn out too well for them either. And after all that hype, all the boasting about representation and diversity, that show tanked and fans couldn't have been less interested. Now it's like Hollywood hasn't even learned its lesson yet. They just keep on pushing this stuff, and when it fails, they just blame the fans for not being progressive enough. They blame those straight white men and everything, instead of just admitting that maybe, just maybe, people want something more than just identity politics in their environment, or no identity politics at all. Now Agatha All Along feels like it's going down the same path as Acolyte, but guess what? It doesn't stop there. Now we've got more stars jumping on the bandwagon, like Aubrey Plaza from, Parks and Recreation, who says she signed up for Agatha All Along because she wanted it to be the gayest Marvel project ever. And again, the narrative gets shoved in our faces that this is somehow groundbreaking, when in reality it's just more of the same. The focus of Agatha All Along is always on how woke the project is, not on whether it's actually good for entertainment, good or entertaining. And this is the same platform, the pattern that we've seen play out time and time again in these studios, and Agatha All Along is no exception. Now, Marvel might be trying to change course with future projects, bringing back familiar faces and steering away from some of the more overt political messaging, but the damage is already done. Now they've gone so far down this road that it's going to be a tough to claw their way back into what made them successful. Even if they finally realizing that doubling, tripling, and quadrupling down on DEI doesn't work, we're still left with a ton of projects in the pipeline, like Agatha All Along, that are going to keep pushing these same tired narratives. Now, Agatha All Along stands as a testament to how deeply Marvel has dug itself into this ideological pit. And let's be honest here, people. Who's really going to care about Agatha All Along? I mean, it's not hard to see Agatha All Along becoming one of the least watched Marvel projects on Disney Plus, and for good reason. Now, when you make everything about an agenda, when the focus is on being the gayest Marvel project ever, instead of, just making a good show, people tune out. Now, we've seen it happen time and time again. Agatha All Along is the latest casualty of this misguided approach, and it's clear that, Marvel hasn't learned its lesson. All right, so basically we're left to ask, where does this leave us? Marvel's trying to course correct, but it's going to be a slow and painful process, and they're stuck dealing with the fallout of their woke experiment, and shows like Agatha All Along are going to continue to drag them down. Now, fans who built this franchise up are tired of being talked down to. They're tired of being, told that they're the problem, just because they want to enjoy movies and TV shows without being constantly reminded of someone's agenda. And you know what? Agatha All Along is just a symptom of a much larger problem. And until Marvel figures that out, they're going to keep losing the audience that they once captivated, okay? And you know what? Let's be honest here. It's not just Marvel. It's happening all across Hollywood. Studios are sacrificing good storytelling in favor of taking off diversity boxes and pandering to a small vocal minority. But as we've seen with recent flops like the Acolyte, this strategy isn't sustainable, and people are waking up to it, and they're walking away. And Hollywood has forgotten that the average moviegoer just wants to be entertained. They're not interested in being lectured to. They're not interested in being told that they're somehow wrong or bigoted or wanting escapism in their entertainment. Now, Agatha All Along is just the latest example of this failing strategy, and it's only going to get worse if things just don't simply change. Now, the truth is, identity politics is killing these franchises. They think they're being bold and brave, but all they're doing is just alienating their audience. Now, Marvel used to be about heroes and stories that resonated with people of all backgrounds without needing to beat you over the head with a lot of woke political social messaging. But now it's all about how woke they can appear, and that's why we're seeing the box office numbers plummet, and those shows having low ratings, and people are done with it. And Agatha All Along is not going to be the show that changes their minds. But what Marvel needs to do is just simple. Get back to basics. Focus on great characters, compelling stories, and epic action. Leave the identity politics at the door. Remember why people fell in love with the MCU in the first place. Because if they don't, shows like Agatha All Along are just going to keep dragging them down. Now, the writing's on the wall, everyone, and Hollywood needs to get back the messaging or get rid of the messaging or face the consequences. And Agatha All Along is just the latest in a long line of missteps that show how far off Marvel has gone, how far off course Marvel's gone. And that's where we stand, basically. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Are you tired of Marvel's constant push towards woke content with shows like Agatha All Along, or do you think that there's still a hope for them to turn things around? Go ahead and let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. Be sure to smash the like button in this video if you enjoy what I shared in this video, and share this video far across social media. And if you have done so already, you enjoyed all the content that I put out there, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification so that way you're notified of future uploads and updates. Till then, peace.